artist Laurel Burch. Laurel Burch loves animals, and so do I. And I think that you'll really like to connect to her work as well. So you can see she has some cats here with some amazing patterns and details. Is this realistic or is this a little abstract? I mean, some cats do have stripes, but are they zigzags? Are they multicolored? Do they have a lot of different patterns like this? Probably not. So it is a little abstract, a little surreal, a little funky, and very fun. And then horses here, these are like the colors of horses, but again, the patterns and some of the designs in there are a little funky and abstract. That's why I love the work of Laurel Burch, because it's so funky and unique. So who exactly was Laurel Burch? Laurel Burch was born on New Year's Eve, which kind of a cool birthday party, if you ask me, and she lived until the year 2007. She had a rare bone disease from a young age, but that didn't stop her from following her dreams and her passions, and she taught herself how to paint and be an artist despite those challenges. So no matter what you can face in your life, you can overcome those challenges and you could become whatever you want to become. Even when she was most sick and in a wheelchair or in bed, she still made a lot of artwork because that was her passion, was making that art and sharing it with others. She loved to paint with lots of colors and designs like I showed you on that first slide. Her favorite subject matter were to paint animals. Her favorites that she always painted were cats, fish, and horses. But especially cats is what she's most famous for. But yeah, fish, horses, those are her three favorites. For sure. So here are some of those animals that we talked about. We saw this one on the front slide. Here's some fish swimming at night. You can notice that she uses pattern. She uses some contrast. She uses color and line and shape. There is some rhythm even in her work. So lots of elements and principles of design incorporated in these amazing works. I love this one behind her. With all the different heads of cats there with different colors and patterns too. Just so cool. I wish animals really did look like the visions that Laurel Burch had. Here's some more artwork. So some tall cats together here, a stack of fish, and some more of those funky horses. And you know what? She probably liked magical unicorns as well. So if you wanted to do a horse with that was more like a unicorn than a horse, I say go for it because it's magical and unique. So step one, you're going to pick an animal. I chose a cat because that's what she's most famous for, but you could choose any animal you want. I do have images in this slideshow for cat, horse, and fish, the three favorites of Laurel Burch. But again, you could do whatever animal that you want to do or even make one up from your imagination. So first you're going to choose that animal that you want to make. Then you're going to want to draw it big and a solid shape. So there's not a lot of ins and outs and areas because we are going to cut these out. You can see the supplies you're going to need here. Because you're going to cut it out, you don't want a lot of itty-bitty crevices and turns. You want a nice, basic, simple shape that fills the page. You want it nice and big. Once you have done that in pencil, keep it light till you get it right. Have the eraser nearby just in case. You'll add some patterns and details and then outline all of your pencil marks with a permanent marker. I love my trusty Sharpie, but you could use whatever marker you want. Once you have done that first side, you're going to add crayon to your designs and fill your animal. So again, I have my cat. You're going to almost treat it like a coloring book. So you have those thick black outlines, well, a variety of thick and thin outlines with your Sharpie or permanent marker. And then you're going to fill it with a crayon, a variety of color, pattern, texture, just going to make it pop and be bold and exciting. Try to incorporate your name in at least one side of your design so when they are weaved together, at the end you're going to know who's whose, because your name on the back doesn't help because it's going to be like a drawing turned sculpture. So it's going to be like 2D plus 3D all at once. So once you do one side, you're going to cut it out around the outside edge as carefully as possible. You could throw your scraps away or use it for a collage project in the scrap bin. Then you're going to need another piece of paper the exact same size as your first paper, and you're going to trace. So hold down the first paper with one hand and trace around your shape with the other hand. All right. Then it's very important that once you trace that, you cut it out and flip it over to add designs. So what I usually tell students, here where you have traced it, write your name or a big X or something on that side, because see how that lines up perfectly? That's actually going to be the inside of your sculpture. So you could write a big X or your name or a big scribble, or write, do not add patterns here, because then you're going to cut that out and flip it so it's the exact mirror image. See how these are mirror image? So if you put them on top of each other, they wouldn't match up because you have flipped it. So that's what we want, though, is a mirror image. And then you're going to look at your original and kind of draw the eyes, nose, mouth, the legs, tail, where you see it on the first one. So you're going to use some observational skills almost as if this is a still life drawing. So then you're going to make your designs on the second side. And you do not have to make your designs the exact same. In fact, I encourage you to make them different and be unique so that you can have an even more variety of color, texture, pattern, contrast, so on and so forth. And try to get your name on one of the sides too. I think that'd be unique, and then you'd be able to tell whose is whose. And I would be able to tell whose is whose too if you're an in-person learner. Anyway, you can add designs just like you did in the first one. You do pencil first, and then you could add Sharpie or permanent marker or whatever marker that you have, and then fill it in like a coloring book. As you can see, I went different than my original there. So finish adding Sharpie designs, color crayon on both sides of the animal that you chose. We will hole punch around the outside edge after, it says after Mr. Gove staples them together in some spots. So once you have both sides colored, we're going to put them back to back so they do match up. And you'll notice that the outside, the side that you see on the outside, is the colored and design part. Once they are together like that, for in-person learners, staple in about 2 to 3 spots, maybe 4 if it's a really crazy creature, but not too many staples. If you're at home, you could either paper clip it together perhaps, or you could staple it in a few spots too, or a trusted adult could do that for you. Because once they are stapled, we are going to hole punch around the outside edge. You do not want the hole punch so close to the edge that it breaks. We want perfect circles that are not too close to the edge. So I'll show you here. You can see right here how it's not too close to the edge, so it makes a perfect circle on that hole punch. You'll have a lot of scrap hole punches that come out like the hole of a donut, so you would want to throw those away. And then we will weave our designs with yarn or string. So I'm going to show you 2 different weaving techniques as well. Once you have weaved all the way to the top, or not quite enclosing the whole thing, you got to leave a little bit of space somewhere to stuff it. So we're going to use crumpled newsprint or newspaper to stuff the animal so that it's a sculpture, 3-dimensional. And then once you have stuffed it, then you'll finish the weaving, then you'll tie a knot, and then we can also do a little hanger like an ornament. So it's a hanging moving sculpture called a mobile. It can move and twist, and you can see both sides. So I'll show you how to do that in the demonstration video. Right now, this is just a step-by-step reminder. Here, I couldn't just choose the cat. I had to do one of each of Laurel Burch's favorite animals. So I also did a fish. I also did a horse. Here's an example of where you could even do a little landscape or seascape or cityscape in your fish as the design pattern. It doesn't have to just be kooky patterns and colors and textures. You could also do like a little landscape in there for part of it as well. I have some plants and fun lines, patterns, shapes, colors. Then here are the 2 different kinds of stitches. There's the traditional stitch, the over, under, which I'll show you in the demonstration video. That's what I did for the horse. And let me tell you, the traditional stitch does not keep it together as well as the whip stitch. I prefer the whip stitch. I think it looks nicer because it goes around the edge. It holds it together better so no stuffing comes out. And I think it looks nicer, aesthetically pleasing, visually interesting. And I will show you how to do that whip stitch as well as the traditional, but I like that whip stitch. If I had to choose one, that's what I would pick every time. So here are the animal shapes. You could pause it here if you want to do a cat or a fish or a horse. You would just have to draw it once where you're looking at these shapes, and then once you cut it out and add the patterns, then you would just trace that shape so you'd get the exact same one the next time. So there you have it, Laurel Burch. She overcame adversity and challenges in her life. Her passion was to make art and to make people happy, and she did just that. So you can overcome your challenges as well. You can follow your dreams and passions, and I hope that you also learn a lot when you make this project, because you're going to be making a template, then tracing the template, flipping it to make a mirror image, adding all sorts of textures and patterns and designs, and then learning how to stitch and stuff to make a sculpture. So you're turning a drawing into a sculpture. It's pretty incredible stuff, and I can't wait to see what you come up with on your own. So trust and believe, and you will achieve, mis amigos. And until next time, adios.